Okay. Okay, please rise, calling the meeting to order. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Hello, everyone. Going to read the route of egress. In the event of an emergency, all people may exit right or left from this room and proceed to an exit door. All doors will open from the inside. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Laws was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Haledon Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published in the North Jersey Herald News, the board's official newspaper, on January 14th, 2022. Notices of this meeting indicating date, time, and place were posted publicly on the door of the main entrance to the school and with the clerk in the municipality of Haledon. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Here.
Mrs. Issa?
Here.
Mr. Jaquez? Mr. Martinez? Mr. Moxell? Mr. Webb?
Here.
Hey, Lamika, I just got a text from Mr. Martinez. He asked me to send him the link because he's running late, so I just sent it to him right now, so he should be here soon.
Okay. Mr. Zentanovic?
Here.
Mr. Zinn?
Here.
And Mr. Guzman?
Okay. Can I have a motion to accept correspondence?
Motion. Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Zinn, seconded by Mr. Zlatanovic. Roll call.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yes.
Mrs. Issa?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez? Mr. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Zentanovic?
Yes.
Mr. Zinn?
Yes.
Okay. Can I have a motion to move prior minutes?
Motion. I think I could second it, but I'm not going to go on the merits. Second.
Oh, okay, there we go. Okay, so moved by Mr. Zinn and seconded by Mr. Webb. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yes.
Mrs. Issa?
Yes.
Mr. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Zentanovic?
Abstain.
Mr. Zinn?
Yes.
Okay, can I have a motion to open the floor to citizens on agenda items only?
Motion. Second. Second.
Moved by Mr. Zlatanovic and seconded by Mr. Zinn, and I think that was Mr. Webb or Mr. Abbasi. Roll call, please.
You can do all in favor.
Oh, okay, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, is there anybody in?
Nope.
Okay, oh, we do have a couple of people joined us.
Ms. Cartana and Ms. Puchalski joined us.
Okay, anything on agenda items? Okay, motion to close the floor?
Motion. Second.
Moved by Mr. Zinn, seconded by Mr. Zlatanovic. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yes.
Mrs. Issa?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez? Mr. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Zentanovic?
Yes.
And Mrs. Zinn?
Yes.
Okay, so let's move on to committee reports. I have nothing to report tonight, so I'm going to pass it over to Chief School Administrator, Mr. Waka.
Okay, I want to begin my report explaining why I'm not here in person. Even when I was just the principal, I've been to every board meeting because I find board meetings fascinating. But tonight's the first I'm not there in person. My day started by speaking to Board Member Abbasi regarding certain parts of the agenda. that I met with our BA and the Haledon police chief and a few other members of our community regarding this security issue that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Afterwards, I finished negotiating 2 different staff contracts with salaries that are on there tonight, which is great. And then this tooth that wasn't really bothering me that much at all, but I wanted to get checked out. I went to get it checked out, and all of a sudden it became like the most important patient in the dentist's office when they saw that I had an infected tooth. So I had to get one again and a root canal that I did not
Hope all is
see
well.
coming.
Just running a few
So
minutes
I
late.
appreciate Ms. Ease's letting me deal with it. Thank you for that. I owe you one. But since I missed a few different committee meetings, let me use this opportunity, please. Hey, Rafi, to bring. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, I met with the Haledon police chief to discuss a security item that I think may interest this board. Tomorrow before 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm gonna BCC each member of this board an email and ask you to write me back individually regarding how you feel about the proposal that I'm gonna look to make. I know Mr. Miller just texted me saying I'm choppy. You got, am I any better now?
You might want to
You
turn
hear
off
me,
your
Ms.
video.
Issa? You guys can hear me? Yes?
Yeah, now it's better. Now it's better.
No?
Yes,
Yes.
Mr. Waka, if you turn your video off, it'll decrease your bandwidth. You might be a little better speaking.
I'm gonna try.
Oh, now you're on mute.
Called in. I think he called in.
Oh,
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Much better.
Am I better now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so where was the last thing you guys heard me say?
Can you might need to mute your speaker on your computer because there's some feedback.
Is it better now?
Yeah. Yeah, so the last thing we heard you say was you were talking about a proposal that you're going to make and you're going to blind copy us
Okay,
tomorrow.
very good. Very good. I guess my son didn't follow my Madden instructions, but the police chief came to us with a proposal. I'm going to email each BCC, each board member tomorrow before 2 p.m. because I want to hear what your opinion is on this matter. I'm not going to be like, oh, Mr. Webb thought this, and then Mr. Abbasi thought that. I'm just going to kind of extrapolate the data and say 7 board members felt this way or 2 board members felt that way. But I think it's better that I just kind of give you this information just from me to you via a straw poll to see if this is something that this board would be interested in. But I thought the meeting today was productive. Lamika was also joined me in that. So based on your feedback, and I'm just going to ask that by Sunday at maybe like 3 or 4 p.m. that you get back to me so that by Monday I can get back to the chief and let him know if we're interested in the plan. But I think it's just one of those things. It's best off if I just communicate that directly to this board and you guys tell me, where you sit with that. Under the personnel section of this agenda, I'm happy to announce we've been able to fill some vacancies that have arisen. We have a few staff members that have moved to other parts of the state, and this caused them to seek employment in those areas. And this is natural, but I'm pleased we were able to finally find a librarian, LDPC, learning disabilities teacher consultant, and a middle school ELA teacher. And I got to say thank you to this board. I know a lot of boards in the state weren't totally keen on the idea of enrolling in the program to let schools pick less than 100% certified staff members to become teachers at the school. But this board did, and I'm telling you, if you guys hadn't, I'm not convinced I would have ever been able to find a librarian, especially for the price, that we did, which was quite remarkable. But what we're looking to do is we have someone that's a certified teacher that's always wanted to be a librarian, an English literature major, and experience working with children's libraries. And then we're going to help offset the cost so that she can work at get her studies at William Patterson or at a university that's of equal price or lesser price. So within 5 years, she can get her official certification. But I'm telling you that she was the only person that applied. So it's really, I'm really grateful that this board, went forward and voted yes for that. You will also notice on this agenda the rate of pay that we've been given to subs. It used to be $100 a day when we started the year last year, but some schools, especially in our county, went above and beyond and were offering up to $250 a day per sub rates. And this caused a bidding war. But thankfully, our culture at HPS is such that subs still do want to work here and come here, which is, we're lucky to have that culture. But we did increase our rate of pay from 100 to 125, last year. And I just want to thank the board again for that, because it's helped us stay open, because, I know what it's like to operate a school when you have 20 or 30, sometimes even 30 people out during COVID, and it's not fun. So thank you for agreeing to that. Item 4, you'll notice on the NJQ that, yeah.
Mr. Watt, can I ask a question on that? Just if during the school year, you see that you're having a hard time getting subs because they're going for higher rates elsewhere, just can we just bring that up as soon as you see it becoming an issue?
Commissioner Abbasi, I'm more than happy to bring that up if it becomes an issue. I'll be the first to come asking you to say yes. Yeah, but I appreciate your support of that.
Okay.
You'll notice on the QSAC portion, so in 2019, we scored a 77 out of 100 on our academic portion of our quality schools continuum assessment, QSAC. We needed to score 80 to not be a school in need of improvement. But then 2 years went by where we hadn't been able to get any sort of data to show that we've improved, right? Because of COVID, we haven't had state tests. So the last group of tests came out in October, and there was 10 ELA questions and 10 math questions. And these were given to kids that had, maybe like 40% of our students hadn't been in school in about 15 months. So I'm not surprised that even though the results are positive, that we didn't decrease. Like I would have expected that we would have seen some kind of learning loss for all those kids that were home for so long. The results didn't show that, but they didn't show the kind of improvement that I thought they would show had COVID not happened. You never know for sure, but I based on the fact that we didn't lose anything, according to these results, I think that was a positive. But right now, we're hopeful that when we get the next batch results from the tests that were taken in April and March of 2022, that will no longer be a school in need of improvement. However, I think the right outlook is that it's probably a blessing in that we got put on this notice in 2019. We haven't been able to come off it just because we haven't been able to have the data to show that. But then state aid worked in our favor, and so did federal aid. And we hired a math coach and now a literacy coach that I'm very excited about. And I think that the fact that we didn't see a loss or a learning loss based on that data, I think it bodes well for the idea that we will likely see the results or the kind of results that we want to see. But no matter what, we always have to keep improving. And I know, that's one of the big things that, former Vice President, Ms. Diaz, and Mr. Abbasi always talks to me about this. This is something that we'll always look to improve upon, and always look to kind of investigate how we can improve upon it. But the learning loss that I think we all feared we would see, just based on this very limited set of data, we haven't seen that. And I'm hopeful that I can report to you in a couple months that we're no longer part of this program. I know when I spoke to Commissioner Abbasi, he said some of the the language might have been abstract or obscure, and I think that's a fair point. You work in government. There's certain ways that you have to word things in order to get the higher ups to say yes, and you almost have to keep it abstract to a certain extent. But I do believe that we did make a pretty hefty investment on a literacy coach that I think's got a whole lot of promise. I think our math scores were once at a position where they were really, I don't want to use the word embarrassing, but just they were really highlighted as a point of like, we got to improve this. Now our math scores have caught up to our English scores, which is a step in the right direction. And this is all with that 18 or 24 months, or whatever you want to call it, COVID thing. So I like the direction we're going, and I'm hopeful that we keep going forward. And if not, it's always going to be a priority to fix it. Moving forward, let me see. I've amended some of the recommended policies from Strauss Esme. Well, the Strauss Esme is a company, I know Brian knows this, and some of the members know this, like where I would say 99% of public schools in the state subscribe to this service, and they are basically a bunch of lawyers that'll make recommended and mandatory policies. I was away for most of last week, and I'm really happy that one of the board members caught something because we'd initially put on our agenda a policy about staff, the attire that our staff wear. And I got to be honest with you, like out of all the problems I've ever experienced at the Haledon Public School, I think I'm very blessed with the professionalism of our staff. I've never really thought that the attire that staff was wearing has really ever been, that much of an issue at all. And I know Diane and Amanda are part of this call, and they'll testify that, if someone does wear something that we think might be a little out of line, our internal practices, I talked to Diane and Amanda, and they'll look to address that with the staff because we value our staff. I don't want to embarrass anyone for wearing what they thought might have been appropriate. We've never had to have a second conversation. Let me put it that way. That's been enough to kind of solve the problem. So I do want to thank the board member that kind of caught that before I did, which I thought was very important. Now there's another report on our agenda. This is my item 6, which is our school safety report. And that's something that's mandatory for us to report to the board twice per year. We knew it was going to be tough coming back with 100% of our students from the pandemic, especially our middle school students. But I think all things considered, I think we did well enough. I do know that we're going to have to keep using time and resources and effort towards our littlest guys, our preschool and our kindergarten, because we know that they haven't had the same structure they normally would get with daycare or with preschool. And a lot of our kids, the kindergarten is going to be the first time because of the pandemic that they're ever going to be in school, and that'll be the same coming this year. So I imagine we're still going to have to pay the piper for the shutdowns that we had to endure for the kids that age, but also our middle school kids. I think that the only thing they were, I spoke about this at graduation, but because I think it's that important. I think that for a long time our kids were like, social media was their connection to their peers for a very long time, and I think that might have jaded their sense of worth or their sense of self-worth or their sense of what makes them worthy. And I've seen more problems stemming from who didn't like my Instagram post or who didn't give a smiley face or who gave a down face, like things that are just so silly. But at the same time, we see adults that deal with this, right? So like, I think that's going to be one of the pushes we look to make with our SEL. I really think that, there is a lot of good that comes to this, and we needed it for our kids' emotional health to connect during the pandemic. But I do want to make that a point of emphasis in our district goals this year, just to kind of help kids put social media in the perspective that it probably belongs to be in. Now, item 7, I have 8 items. Item 7, we did have a regrettable incident that occurred on a field trip today with our summer camp. I'm going to give the board a full report before I leave work tomorrow. It just came to me at the tail end of the day today. I know Mr. Trito's involved. Staff members are going to be getting me statements. I'm going to be meeting with certain staff members tomorrow to figure out exactly what happened. I don't want to reveal too much information just to protect confidentiality, but you could expect that report as well as the security question that I'm going to ask you tomorrow before the end of today. And last but not least, I do want to report that although school may not technically be in session, we're very much a living operation at HPS. Our summer camp has got over 100 kids as part of it. Our Angels program, I think, is over 70 or 80 kids that are part of it. Our ESY has almost 100 kids this year that are part of it. So we're still maybe almost 30% of our student body is still on campus in the summer, and that's a really good thing. And the only people that are, and then there's our BOSS program, which I even forgot to mention, which is a free program. And I've had a lot of parents ask me, is there any summer work? Is there any summer work? And I said, well, there's no summer work, but I would love you to sign up for the BOSS program for your grade level. And I've had a couple kids sign up just like that for that, because that's a program where we're paying for our COVID funds, and the kids can get, in person with the teacher every single day with free breakfast and free lunch. And Mr. Quelly and Mr. Torito and the Mashios, they worked hard to make sure that free meals were part of that program. And it's a kind of program where like you could join anytime. So we would keep kind of letting people know about that. But that's my report for tonight. And I know all aspects of the finance, I'll leave to my good friend Lamika, who will clearly know more about that than I will.
Yeah, Mr. Lieutenant.
Thanks for that report, Principal Waka. I have a couple of quick questions. With the CUSAC, I noticed on the cover page, it indicated that there was an 81% for governance, but on the you look at the summary table, it looks like the numbers are mixed up. How are we doing on governance? Is it the 81% or is it the 100% that's reported?
Yeah, so the instruction is the reason that we're on the CUSAC. That's the reason that we're a district improvement, a school in need of improvement, technically. But with the governance, we lost 6 points, and it's no fault of really anyone, but the board didn't get my my superintendent evaluation back before June 30th of last year. I'm not going to fault this board because I appealed that, because if you looked at the state website, they had incorrectly said that schools had until July 15th, but they put the wrong year. But the county commissioner was not really too interested in hearing my point of view on that. So we lost 6 points in that category. There was one other category that I believe we lost 6 points in. It wasn't something that was gonna make or break the school. I don't have it in front of me, but there were two categories.
Yeah, it was the approval of the treasurer's reports within 60 days.
Yeah, so exactly. So that was the kind of thing where we learned, and I think we all appreciated what Emilio, our temporary business administrator, did for us. It just turned out upon county audit that one of the things that he had done, I guess common practice in Essex County to do, but when they looked at it from the Passaic County DOE, they said this is no. We don't play that. We don't do that here. So we lost 6 points for that. I know Lamika can speak to that, the fact that we've addressed that moving forward. But I thought Emilio did a really admirable job for us coming in for the 3 months he did. So it didn't cost us more than just us having the risk. So I was willing to accept that.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. The second question has to do with the school safety data. I know a couple of months there were some changes to when we would report HIB incidents that seemed, in my opinion, that kind of like would broaden that. Would that affect our numbers next year? That way, just in anticipation.
So it could affect our numbers next year. So there's been a lot of talk within the state and I guess the state centers about HIB and what HIB is. I know that the one thing we're going to need to do is that every time a kid is reported as being an aggressor, whether they found to be an aggressor or whether they found to be not violating it, we have to keep track of that. If they have more than 3 aggressor statuses, we're going to have to, make an internal action plan. The state hasn't released what that should look like, so we're going to have to figure that out. We haven't gotten to that point yet, but it's also possible we may inherit a kid from Wayne or from Pumpkin Lakes or from Patterson or from wherever else, that we might accept the plan that they give us the way we have to with IEPs, or it's possible we have to just make our own when that situation comes. I know that the principal, in my case, we're only one school. I have discretion to say where I could usually look at an incident and say, HIB is basically a mirror of what affirmative action is in the workplace. That's the way the Garden State Equality, Mr. John Galuccia, who lives in North Haledon, and was one of the authors of the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights via Garden State Equality. He and I got a chance to sit down with him, and he walked me through the whole thing and how they wrote it. But basically, anything that you couldn't be fired for or not hired for, you have to have that, protected class status. It has to be knowingly status, and it has to be violated because of that protected class status. So the problem that I'm always going to find as a building principal is that what we connotatively believe to be bullying, that isn't what denotatively is part of this law. Like being mean to someone isn't going to be bullying, but being mean to someone based on their religion or their sexuality or perceived characteristic or physical characteristic or a family situation they have, then that would be. So that's until the denotation of that law changes, that's always going to be an issue. But it's the kind of thing where when parents claim bullying, we do look into it. But I have the right as the CSA to be like, there's no way this will be a do you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Mr. Walker?
Yeah, I do have one question. So, Mr. Walker, you were talking about the policies specific to the dress. So what's on the agenda? There's one that was revised, 3216, and there's a new one, 4216, which I guess just replaces 3216. Is that as is in the agenda what we're voting on tonight, or is anything changing?
I know that Ms. Jobless had made the changes as I had requested. So it's a great question. So anything that says the 3,000 section of the board policy, that will only relate to staff, and the 4,000 section will only relate to support staff like paraprofessionals or things like that, or aides. What I did was I got rid of all the things that were not allowed, right? And I just put that, basically I wanted to make it so that if there's certain, we all know you can't wear a bathing suit, to work. We all know you can't wear like a marijuana leaf or something like that to work. I got rid of the specifics about like, the collared shirt or the strapless thing or the strap for one strap or two straps and that kind of stuff. I know that I gave Ms. Jobless right after the meeting I had with Link at 12:30. I had made I made the edits on that particular policy, and I made it so that we still have a policy in case there's a staff member that just goes off the deep end and wants to wear a snorkeling, scuba diving gear to school. I can be like, here's my justification for saying you can't do that. But I wanted to get rid of the specifics because I think this staff deserves the professionalism that, and I think you pointed that out, as well, that, this is not a problem, so I don't need to make a rule to solve a problem that's not there.
Okay, so basically we can vote, we're going to vote on as it is in the agenda tonight.
Well, what is the agenda read? Because did Ms. Jobless not send you the addendum to that?
Yeah, I'm looking at the addendum, actually. I don't know if there's policy on here. Let me see.
No,
Oh, yeah, there is. New and revised, yep. There is a revised, it looks like all of them are on here. I didn't have a chance. We got this at towards later in the day, so I didn't have a chance.
Yeah, that's my fault for getting it to you so late. But I believe if you look at the revised addendum, you'll see that the edits that I made are a lot more sensible, in my opinion, than what the initial policy that it was brought to my attention by the commission.
Sounds good. Okay. Do you have any other questions, Mr. Obasi?
Go. I know you. I see you want to say it. So tell me what's up.
No, I just on 3216 specifically. So before, it looks a little different than what I saw this morning. There was two sections in the bottom half of the policy guide for that specific attachment that were strike through, like to omit, right? One of them was just specifically calling out male teaching staff members may wear suits, and then there was one that specifically called out female staff members may wear, and those were stricken from the record. And I was the point I was trying to make was why remove the annotation of male and female, and if it was a case of like, then why don't you just add one that says somebody maybe who identifies as something else, they or them, or not male or female, just add a separate one. Like, I didn't want to see male and female stricken from the policy.
I see what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. My thinking was like, you're gonna
Like
see transgender employees at Haledon Public School, and you're gonna. So to me, it because this is not a problem at Haledon. I don't think I needed to have any policy that would specify male and female, and hopefully the additions that I made reflect that. But if I thought they did, but if they didn't, then I'm looking forward to amending that.
I'd like to add something. I mean, I don't think it's necessary to point out male or female because people can wear whatever they want as long as it's professional and appropriate, regardless of their gender or how they identify. So I don't think it needs to be in there. I think it can be just very general.
Now, Lisa, in the edits that I made, doesn't it specify that, or did I miss that?
I didn't. I'm sorry, I didn't get to look at the revised edits. I did see that it was the version that I read was stricken. That was all, like strike through, like the reference to male and female, and I thought that was just fine.
So if you
I'm
want,
fine with the way it is.
Because this is an addendum and it was given to you late, if you guys want to table that, then I can make sure I clean it up the right way for the August board meeting, and that would be totally fine with me. And not that it matters if it's fine, because you're the board that governs this. But I philosophically am agreeing that, like, I don't want to make this a male versus female versus anything thing. I just trust my staff to do the right thing, and I don't want to need a rule if I don't have to make one.
So right now,
Mr. Walker, I don't see the policy amendment. I don't see that in there. I see it for personnel. I don't think that was added to the amendment.
No, if you look at 3216, the first section it's a 2-page policy guide.
Yeah. Is that the one that says?
And then there's
I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the amendment.
I'm talking about the amendment that was sent this afternoon.
Yeah, I didn't see it on the addendum.
Yeah, it's not on the addendum.
I didn't see it.
What you're talking about, Mr. Walker?
So let me.
Yeah, I have a hard copy here.
There's hard copies here.
Let me see. I thought I saw all of them on the addendum. Let me see.
Thank you very much.
Why don't we just table it?
3216 and 4216 are on the addendum. They are.
It's on
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, I could have swore I omitted the part where it said male or female, but if I accidentally neglected to do that, I would ask the board to table it.
You did. It's on page 2.
Okay. Would you mind reading that out loud in case we don't have a hard copy for the people on the internet?
Yeah, I'll read it. Okay, well, it's let me see the part that's has the strike through. Let me find it now.
On top of this, bottom of the first page, top of the second.
Okay, this is 3216, right? Bottom of the first page and, I see. Okay, so here's the first strike through. This is what has been stricken through. Male teaching staff members may wear suits or slacks with or without jackets. Male teaching staff members must wear a dress shirt with necktie or turtleneck shirt or sweater with a jacket. That's been stricken. And then let's see.
The page before over number 1.
Okay, I only have 2 pages on this
Yeah,
one.
the first page.
Oh, okay.
First
I
page
guess
right above
I
number
see,
1.
okay. Yeah, I skipped over that, okay. Acceptable attire for teaching staff members shall include but not be limited to dresses, skirts, blouses, suits, sweaters, pants, and dress shirts with or without a tie. Female teaching staff members may wear dresses, skirt or pantsuits, or skirts or pants with blouses or sweaters. That's also been removed.
That's been removed, perfect.
Yeah, and I believe that that was removed from the get-go, because I remember seeing that in the first, when I read, you know, before the addendum, like what was on the agenda originally, that was stricken through. Yeah, so that one is already stricken through, and then the other one, which is 4216, I mean, we can check that one as well.
216 should be the same exact thing, it's just for support staff members.
Okay,
Correct.
okay. Yeah, yeah,
So,
so,
Mr. Bossi, those edits, do you find that satisfactory?
So my comment was I didn't feel like personally, I didn't think there was a need to strike out female teaching staff members may wear, male staff members may wear. I would have rather left that in and then added a sentence that says, you know, all other teaching staff members that maybe identify differently may wear, and then you can just list all of
I
it.
see. I see.
But
I don't want to.
Clean-
I'm not.
clean professional
I'm not
clothing.
personally
Right,
for
right. I don't
Hold on.
see there any.
There's- you
striking
don't have
male
to
and
specify
female
it.
from the record.
Who cares if you work for them?
I think
But
what we need to do is vote on it, right?
Yeah.
So when we get to the policies, you know, agenda items, we'll vote on it, and, you know, everybody is free to vote how they feel,
Yeah.
so, you
And
know.
Ms.
we
Eads,
can-
I just want to say that I do understand where everybody's coming from now. And if I thought this was an issue at Haledon, that I probably would, maybe, if I thought I needed to specify a gender, I see where Mr. Bond's coming from, 100%, I do.
I don't have an issue with the way it's revised to.
Mhm.
I just, some people may view it as a slippery slope that will be, okay, what's next? What next will be striking gender from some
Mhm.
stuff in the hallways, and then, you know, that can lead to other stuff. Not that I'm trying to, like, I'm all for everybody having rights. I'm not talking about discriminating one group versus
Mhm.
another. I still think, you know, I didn't want to, I'm trying to preserve the male, female, and then add as necessary. That's
got
just that's the way I'm looking at it.
I
So,
got you. And
Mr. Abbasi, I would say, you know, if you're not,
Right,
if you don't agree, then you should vote no. You should vote no on that one, you know, and then
I
everybody
will say,
can.
you know, to be fair, like Mr. Abbasi was the person that did bring this to my attention. I wouldn't have made the edits had he not brought this to my attention. So I think the edits are, they, in my opinion, I think they kind of get what this board really wants, which is not to make an issue where it's not an issue as far as what our staff's wearing, because it's really not an issue, right? But I agree with Mr. Abbasi, like why put a gender specification on things if you don't have to? So that's why I kind of went above and beyond with that edit. But I do appreciate that you even brought this to my attention, because this was something that when I was away, it got put on the agenda, and I'm glad that you brought it to my attention.
Okay. Well, so we can talk about it more when we get to policy, but are there any other questions regarding Mr. Waka's report? Okay, so then in that case, I will turn it over to Ms. Augustin for the business administrator report.
Okay, so, thank you. I have just a few items to announce. One is the continuous reminder of the board conference, and make sure, you know, everyone is aware of the dates of October 24th to 26th. And if you have not communicated with the business office that you want to attend, let us know, just to make sure that we are, you know, we submit everything or get you registered on a timely fashion. The next thing I wanted to mention is the election deadlines. Petitions needs to be submitted to the county on July 25th. There are three full 3-year terms open. There's one year unexpired and one 2-year unexpired term, according to our A12. So if you're interested or you're going to run again, just get that document to the.
We're meeting today.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
So that's
Thank
just a reminder, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Today, Mr. Walker and I did meet regarding other security items that he's gonna brief you guys on tomorrow. But in with that, I've also communicated with Mr. Walker that if there was a concern about the security company that we currently have, we want to go out for RFP to see if there's any other companies that we can look into going into a new contract with for the new school year. We spoke to Mr. Walker on what the building needs are, and we'll probably have that document out by the end of the week. And we'll review the awards, do the RFP, and then we'll bring it to the next board meeting to see which vendor we might go with. So, yes.
And that's something separate than the police officers, right?
That is something separate, but obviously whatever company that comes here will work with our officers that are here, okay?
And Lamika, if I could add that, like, we had these issues at Haledon, and I guess there was some peace of mind knowing that the Manchester people had the same kind of sentiment.
Yes.
I know they're looking to do something very similar, and it gave me reassurance to know that I'm not crazy, right? That we could probably do better. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, and just to note, the issue we have is just this company giving us quality personnel to, first of all, and then having them show up. So that was the issue that we were having at, Manchester. So I just spoke with Mr. Walker and said, hey, while we're going out to RFP, let's just do it for both districts and just see what we get, okay? And plus they also sent us a price increase for over like 23%. So we were kind of forced our hand, to do that. Yeah.
I did not know that part, Lamika.
They're working with the electric companies?
Probably.
I don't know if we should discuss like what those services would entail. I guess you haven't done the RFP yet, so.
Well, I did put a few things in our RFP, like how many we want. Like, do we want somebody at the front desk? Do we want someone somewhere else in the building? I'll continue to work with the superintendent and the SRO on that before I submit it.
Okay.
And we also want to see if we want them doing any type of duty, whatever services we need, how many we expect them, the company to provide us. And, we'll talk out whatever those needs are, and we will work with the SRO to try to see what additional personnel that we can have here on site,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, just if you could forward us a copy of the RFP.
I will, but it's time sensitive,
No, I
because I want
understand.
to
I
make
get it.
sure that
Yeah.
get it out this week, and I can send it to you, for review.
I mean,
Okay.
it could be after you put it out. I just
Okay.
want to have an
Yeah.
idea of what.
Okay, no problem. Any questions on that? And then the other thing that's on the agenda, I think we spoke about it during the budget process, that we're going to do some improvements with the audio video system upgrade in the gym. So that is on for approval tonight. So we're just hoping that you guys have reviewed that, and we can move forward with that so we can get started with that, right?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, okay.
Please.
So that's all that I have, other than our normal renewal for contracts for the next next school year.
Any
Thank you.
questions for Ms. Augustin? Okay.
No questions. I just have a quick note for my nomination document for the unexpired seat. I'm not going to be in town until late Friday, and I have work early Monday. So I provided my form to one of the councilmen to submit for me, but I left which unexpired term it was blank. I wasn't sure which one I would be going for, so
I'll
just
review it tonight.
stating that I left it blank, and he was going to fill it in for me.
We'll review it tonight for you,
I
brother.
think just have, conversation.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah,
We'll review it.
exactly.
Okay. We'll talk with the
Yeah,
the
we'll
business
review it.
administrator,
Mhm.
and we'll communicate.
I have a
Okay,
question regarding the upgrade to the audio system. I was just looking at the itemized bill, and is it correct that there's only one wireless microphone that's going to be a part of this system?
Bill?
It's one wireless, it's gonna be one wireless
I
microphone,
think Bill Miller might be the best person
That's the answer to that
that.
question, yeah.
but the big gen's gonna have a full, I think it's eight or nine mics, all wireless.
It's a board,
Can-
right?
can
a
they-
Yeah, it's gonna be a board.
Did you
Yeah,
hear
new
that,
board.
Mr. Webb?
It has to come with the
Yeah.
whole shebang.
Can you hear? Okay.
Did you hear that, Mr. Webb?
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I actually did have a question on that too. I don't think I saw it in there. Does the system, because it is pretty a substantial cost. Does it include a warranty?
Well, yeah, I mean,
They
they'll-
usually do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the tech guys here are really good. as far
our
as-
system
yeah.
here, when it went down,
Yeah.
they actually took it back and fixed it. And we've had it for a number of years, so yes, they will take care of it.
Good.
They usually do.
Good. Okay, any other questions? Okay, then let's move on to committee reports. So personnel and management, Mr. Webb? Oh, do I have to, a motion for the committee reports?
No,
Okay,
you just
Okay.
call them out. for that.
okay, Mr. Webb?
Agenda items only.
Okay. Curriculum and technology, that's me, agenda items only. Policy and public relations, Mr. Martinez.
Agenda items only.
Okay. Security and safety, Mr. Zlatanovic.
Well, we did not meet, because of the exigency. I do have a question for Mr. Waka. I didn't get a copy of the evacuation site, for item 10.1. Are we tabling this? Because there's,
So you probably, we don't want to give that. I'll give that specifically to the security committee at our next security executive session. But we just don't want to put it on an agenda so that if someone knows where we evacuate to, we don't want a bad actor to be stationed at that place. We actually have 3 different evacuation sites depending on the weather. But let me review that to you. Let me email you that tomorrow as far as what we do. I just don't want it to be on an agenda because then anyone could access that.
okay.
Actually, Mr. Zlatanovic, if you log in to your agenda as a board member, you'll see that under executive content. It's there.
Oh,
You
it
just
is
can't
there?
see it on the public
Oh.
version of the agenda.
Thank you,
It's there.
Oh, That's
Yeah.
weird.
Thank you very much.
Oh, maybe that's why I don't see it.
Yeah,
Okay.
you have to log in as a board member.
Okay, all right, so let me do that again then. But do you see it on your
I do.
agenda? Okay, all
Yeah.
right, so I'll
And if
defer, I'll defer to your
just give me
recommendation.
a call.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
If for some reason you have trouble accessing it, just give me my cell. Just give me a call and I'll tell you what our plans are. And I'll let you know where the 3 places we would go in case we needed to.
Yeah, no, I mean, I trust your judgment. I just wanted to, it was just my technical lack of expertise. Yeah, so in other words, for security, agenda items only.
Okay.
And then for the finance committee, is that next? 'Cause that was the
Actually,
only-
community engagement and outreach, Mr. Webb.
Nothing to report.
Okay.
Now, can
Now,
I jump in on that, Ms. Issa? I know that I started seeing the things online. I think Haledon Day is August 20th.
Yep.
The day before my birthday. So I just want to give that. I know that I'm looking. I like seeing all the goats and all the other things in the movie Under the Stars. So I'm looking forward to going there. I'll certainly be promoting that.
Yeah, and I think this year they're gonna do the fireworks again. Last year, it kind of well, it didn't get rained out, but that kind of spoiled it a little bit, the rain at the end, but they're gonna have fireworks, so hopefully it'll be good weather this year. Thank you for that reminder. Okay, now, finance and physical plant, Mr. Zlatanovic.
Yeah, I was the only one, I met with Business Administrator Augustine, so she gave us gave me an overview, so I recommend agenda items only.
Okay, great. And for state and county, that's me, nothing to report. And I think that's it. Okay, so can I have a motion to move, personnel and management? Mr. Webb.
Yes, so we have agenda items 7.1 through 7.23.
Okay, so you're moving those. Can I have someone second?
Second.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Webb and seconded by Mr. Zlatanovic. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi,
Yes.
Mrs. Issa,
Yes.
Mr. Martinez,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mrs. Antanovic,
Yes,
Mr. Zinn,
Yes, except abstain from 7.7, please.
okay, motion passed.
Okay, great. For curriculum and technology, I move items 8.1 through 8.3. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so moved by myself and seconded by, I'll choose Mr. Zinn. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abasi?
Yes.
Mrs. Issa?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Zantanovic?
Yes.
And Mr. Zinn?
Yes, abstain 8.2.
Now, policy, and keep in mind the, if we have any addenda items too, please. For policy, that is Mr. Martinez, Policy and Public Relations,
Let's move 9.1.
9.1. Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Martinez, seconded by Mr. Zinn. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abasi?
So I'm gonna go no specifically to 3216. I don't feel the need to strike out male and female, but still then doing an inclusive additional paragraph there or sentence for it to be all inclusive as well, without striking male and female. Yes to everything else.
Do you also want that for 4216? Because it's the same one as 3216.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so you'll vote no on 3216 and 4216, but yes on the rest.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay. And Mrs. Issa?
yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Webb?
I also will vote no on 3216 and 4216, but yes on everything else.
Mr. Zantanovic?
Yes.
Mr. Zinn?
Yes to all.
I don't think it's passed. Okay, I'll have to verify this, because it's
Okay.
only 4.
Oh,
Wait, I think, don't you need a simple majority on policy
The
changes?
majority of who's here versus.
That's my
Okay.
understanding,
Okay.
no, because only 4 voted yes on all
Ah.
of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
those two,
Well,
It is
those two-
it's a recommended change, not mandated on that one.
yeah, but it's no, like if you vote no for those two, all right, so we may need to revisit that again, okay?
The
Okay.
3216, 426.
Right.
It's
Mhm.
kind of thing where, if it votes no, that's not going to really impact us really terribly at all. This is more of a Strauss recommendation, but because if we have the majority of members present, wouldn't that still count as a majority?
I want to make sure that it's the majority members present, not the majority, okay? And I'll just let you guys.
Okay, so we'll just wait to hear what the official ruling is on that. But if the vote is no, that's from work.
Okay, you'll let us know, Ms. Augustine.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Okay, so nothing for community engagement. Finance and physical plant, Mr. Zlatonovic.
Oh, do we skip
Did we-
security and safety?
Oh, I'm sorry, so sorry. Security and safety, Mr. Zlatonovic.
I move both items. 10.
Second.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Zlatonovic, seconded by Mr. Abasi. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abasi?
Yes.
Mrs. Issa?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Zantanovic?
Yes.
Mr. Zinn?
Yes.
Okay, now, finance and physical plant, Mr. Zlatonovic.
I move items 12.1 through 12.26.
Second.
Okay, so moved by Mr.
Well, let
Zlatonovic,
me just make,
second,
yeah, let me just, I'm sorry, I have a printout from home, I just want to make sure the addendum doesn't.
the addendum
Yeah,
at
okay,
12.
it ends at
Yeah,
12.26, yeah.
Okay, okay, so moved by Mr. Zlatonovic and seconded by, I think I heard Mr. Webb, seconded. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abasi?
Yes.
Mrs. Issa?
Can I just ask a quick question here? It's yes to all, but for 1211, the recycled computers, where, do you know where those go? Or do they just get trashed?
Yeah, we have a company come and takes them and destroys them.
Okay,
They're basically not usable, right?
They're out of date.
And you get
Okay.
certified, wait, it's Upcycle, is that who you use?
No, this is a different company.
But you get certified that all the
Yeah.
data's been
Yep.
wiped.
Okay,
I'm good with
And
that.
they're Chromebooks, so it's
Oh,
the data on them
good.
anyway.
okay, okay.
Before you proceed with the roll call vote, just one request, if we can just, I think for a sustainable Jersey, there might be something we can use, the electronics recycling.
For what,
As an action
get the
item.
certification?
Yeah, we'd have to take a look at
Okay.
that, yeah, so just
You know what, board members Lotanovich, I want to thank you for that because that's been kind of what, like, it's been like a cloud that we've always had over our head trying to do the sustainable New Jersey, but every now and again, so many things come up that we kind of forget about it because so many other things came up. So thank you for reminding me of that. 'Cause I do need to make sure I get on top of it. So I appreciate that.
you're welcome.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bossy, Mrs.
yes.
Zissa?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Zontonovic?
Yes,
Mr. Zen?
Yes, abstain 12.13. Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
Okay, great, that's everything. Do we have any new or old business?
Yeah, Ms. Isa, I do, if it's okay with you.
Yeah.
So a couple of things. The first is I should probably get like a 23andMe because I don't really know what my heritage really is, to be quite honest. I'm such a mutt. But the reason the doctors want to do the search on me today, because for the next 10 days, starting on Sunday, I'll be overseas. We'll be visiting Europe and some of my wife's family over there. I'm going to check my email every day because this is a job that's to me an everyday kind of job. But if there's any decisions that need to be made ASAP, I trust Lamika to make those decisions. She'll have my full support. But like I said, I bought like the extra data package just for this trip to make sure that if somebody needs to call me, I'll be available. So that'll be that. And as far as we still have until December 31st of 2022 that's when our 5-year strategic plan expires. But we do know that Ms. Helwa, who I think we all respect a whole lot, is still due to come with us to finish our final stage of the strategic planning process. I know that the NJSBA's kind of had a crazy overhaul where like they just got their first new executive director in a very long time. And I actually emailed him to touch base and give him some thoughts that I thought he could do to make his service even better. And he got back to me within the 6 hours, which I was very impressed by. But it's the kind of thing where I'm hopeful to have her come in the August meetings. I do want to get this thing, rolling while we have this board here, because it's a very good board. But that don't think that's been forgotten, because it's still a marquee thing. And at the next board meeting, I'll be prepared to give you all my proposed Chris Waka superintendent goals. But just because Chris Waka wrote them doesn't mean you have to accept them. You could say yes, you could say no, you could modify, and modify is probably going to be what we do. But I'll send that to you well in advance of our next board meeting. Because I want to make sure that I want to stay here, right? Like, so I want to make sure that I do, the job that you guys, expect of me and wanted me. So any input you have towards those goals will be valued, and it's gonna be something that I'm going to look to achieve. And that's my new and old business.
Okay.
Enjoy your trip.
Thank you for letting us know. And we appreciate you offering to, letting us know you'll be in touch, but try not to think about work too much.
Yeah.
And safe
Have a little
travels.
fun.
Okay, anybody else for new and old business? Okay, all right, so then can I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Second.
Well, I need it
Motion.
first.
So moved.
Okay, so
Second.
moved by Mr. Martinez, seconded by Mr. Zinn.
third,
Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yes.
Mrs. Issa?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Webb?
Yes.
Mrs. Antonovic?
yes.
And Mr. Zen?
Yes.
Okay, the floor is open if anybody would like to make any comments or ask any questions or anything. Anything in the
Nope.
chat?
No.
Okay, so motion to close?
Motion. So move.
Second.
By Mr. Zinn,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Martinez. Roll call?
Mr. Abbasi,
Yes.
Mrs. Issa,
Yes.
Mr. Martinez,
Yes.
it's Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Zentanovic,
Yes.
and Mr. Zinn.
Yes.
Okay, so before we adjourn, I just want to wish everybody, I hope you continue to have a healthy and safe summer. We'll be back in August. And hopefully that we'll continue to have nice hot summer weather. I like the heat. Okay, motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Martinez, seconded by
Good
Mr.
job, Ms. Isa.
Thank you, Zlatanovic. Roll call?
Mr. Abbasi,
Yes.
Mrs. Issa,
Yes.
Mr. Martinez,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
and Mr. Zinn.
Yes.
Okay, great. Motion,
Yes.
meeting,
Oh, Mr. Zentanovic, I just started counting, I'm like, wait a minute, Zentanovic.
that's everybody?
This vine was in the way.
Okay,
Yeah.
meeting adjourned. Thanks for logging on, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good night.